Hello friends, are you confused if you should rent a bike for Ladakh trip or take your own bike? Or are you wondering if bikes rented outside of Leh are allowed for any sightseeing in Ladakh or not? Well, I have already talked about taxi union in Ladakh and rules they enforce for outside rental taxis in my previous videos of this series. Similar to the taxi union, there also exists a bike rental union in Ladakh as well. And what that means to you is that there are regulations in place which control the prices of these bike rentals as well as define rules about rental bikes outside of Leh. These bike rental rules pretty much confuses everyone who plan their bike trips to Ladakh relying on these rental motorcycles. So today in this Express FAQ series on traveling to Ladakh, I'm going to talk about these rules related to bike rentals outside of Leh, where all Leh bikes are allowed, and whether you should rely on bike rentals or should you take your own bike to Ladakh. So let's get started. Hello, Namaste and Jule. If you are new to my channel, my name is Dheeraj and I run a travel blog devilonwheels.com. Well friends, effective 2014, Bike Rental Union of Leh Ladakh had floated a circular where bikes rented outside of Leh are not allowed for any sightseeing in Ladakh. However, there is an exception to this rule as Tso Moriri Lake and Sokar Lake can be done while going to Manali from Leh. You can use the outside rented bikes to reach Leh over Manali Leh Highway or Srinagar Leh Highway, but then for traveling to Pangong Tso and Nubra Valley, you will need to rent a bike in Leh only. This rule is similar to outside rented taxis I talked about in my previous videos. But friends, please note that the private bikes are completely allowed to travel any corner of Ladakh. As per the bike rental union rules, the private bike number has to be either in your name or your father's name or under anyone's name with whom you can prove relationship with. In case you are taking someone else's bike, then please carry a valid NOC document from the owner of the bike, which will help you not just in Leh for any circumstances but outside of Leh as well. Now that you know this rule, let us see if you can rent a bike in Manali and travel to Ladakh or not. Well, you must have already guessed that you can travel to Ladakh on Manali rented bike, but for further sightseeing in Ladakh to places like Nubra Valley and Pangong Tso, you will need a Leh rented bike. So friends, if you rent a motorcycle in Manali and travel to Leh, you will have to pay twice because you will have to rent a bike in Leh as well again to travel to places like Nubra Valley and Pangong Tso. However, some of the Manali bike rental guys have formalized a deal with Leh Bike Rental Union that for the days you will park the Manali bike in Leh and you will rent a Leh bike, they will charge 50% of the rent of their bike subject to the display of valid rent receipts from Leh rental bike guys. But please guys, confirm it with Manali bike rental guys first about this sign off before you rent a bike from them. Same rule is applicable for Srinagar bike rentals as well. Although some of them claim that their bikes are allowed for sightseeing in Ladakh, though I personally highly doubt that. But why? Well, Srinagar taxis are also not allowed for sightseeing in Ladakh. So I suspect on such claims made by them and believe that even Srinagar rented bikes are also not allowed for sightseeing in Ladakh. Well, if you have any doubts, you can always confirm it by talking to Gurmat Namgyal from Ladakh Bike Rental, whose contact information I have left in the description of this video. Finally, a lot of people also rent bikes from Delhi and Chandigarh as well, and the same rule is applicable for such rental bikes too. If you will rent a bike in Delhi or Chandigarh, those are not allowed for any sightseeing in Leh Ladakh. Use them to reach Leh and then rent another bike in Leh for further sightseeing. Please friends, do not fall into the trap of anyone who claims that their bikes are allowed for sightseeing in Ladakh. It can easily end up spoiling your trip and land you up in other hassles. Now comes the question that with all these complicated rules at play, is it a good idea that you should take your own bike to Ladakh or should you rent a bike in Manali or Leh or Srinagar for Ladakh trip? Well friends, though I am not an ardent biker, but still I have few points worth mentioning on this topic based on my get together with such biker friends and the members of DOW community who rent bikes from Manali or Leh. It is worth highlighting that if you own a bike and it is in decent mechanical condition, then it is always a better bet to ship your own bike and make a Ladakh journey on it. The rented bike comes nowhere close to your own bike in terms of reliability, stability, fuel efficiency and overall mechanical condition of your own bike. You know your bike well, you ride it almost every day and you know what works for it and what does not work for it. Moreover, with your own bike, you will have much better control and stability because you are so used to riding it. although the cost factor may not vary much when compared, especially if you are transporting your bike in train or by a courier. But the complication and risk of taking a hired or rented bike from Manali or Srinagar or even Delhi are far higher than what it can save you in terms of cost. Depending upon your plan for Ladakh trip, you can always ship your bike to any of these places like Mandi or Chandigarh or Ambala or Jammu or Delhi or even Srinagar. In the end, again, if you have your own bike, then please do prefer it over a hired or rented bike from Manali or Delhi. But like I said in my previous videos as well, if you still plan to hire or rent a bike from Manali or Srinagar, then do try to carry a test run for a day and get the required fixes done right in Manali or Srinagar itself before embarking on the journey to Ladakh. And if required, you can always get the bike replaced if it is troublesome. And friends, if budget is not a constraint, then opt to carry a backup vehicle and a mechanic with you along with the required spare parts. So friends, this was all about which bike rentals are allowed for sightseeing in Ladakh and which are not, and whether it is a good idea to take your own motorcycle for Ladakh trip or not. In my next video of this series, I'll talk about if you can go to Ladakh trip on a 100cc bike or even a scooty or any other low powered bike. And if yes, what are the things that you should keep in mind while doing so. So stay tuned my friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Now, in the end, if you found this video helpful, please do not forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And in case if you need any help or have any questions on your upcoming trip to the Himalayas, please feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to help you out right away. Till then my friends, Jule, and please keep our Himalayas clean.